Hello, very fine people, and welcome back to the Lifestyle Lab. We are now on episode 4. My name is Sam, and today we are going to be discussing another absolute rabbit hole of a topic in scale weight. And I know that this topic here is going to resonate with so many of you, as it really has kind of been the defining factor for a lot of people who have ever embarked on a weight loss journey, fat loss journey, who's ever been involved in exercise, and whoever's tried to achieve a result of any kind. It's been pretty important for a lot of people, and there'll probably be a lot of you listening to this who really kind of fixate on scale weight as being that determining factor for the success of the weight loss journey and fat loss journey that you're on. So really kind of my aim for this podcast is to kind of lessen the intensity of the importance that you put on scale weight by helping you realize that it's just, and this might sound quite shocking, it's just not that important for the result that you want. And as we kind of start to break down some of the reasons why, I'm hoping that you'll naturally start to do that. So here's hoping that what I have to say will help you. And essentially what we're going to be discussing in today's podcast is, yes, scale weight, but we're going to be talking about what it is, what it measures, and some of those other things that I would recommend to focus on that will give you more of an idea of how well you're actually doing on your fat loss journey. Okay, so again, if anyone hears anything that I've said and wants to ask further questions, you'll be able to kind of get me at the links below: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook as well. Please do not hesitate to message me. We can discuss in a little bit more depth, but as always, without further ado, let's get stuck into talking about scale weight. So scale weight, how do we define scale weight? I think is always a very good place to start, because scale weight, yeah, it's a number. It's a number that's given to you when you step on this thing that's sat in your bathroom and probably has done for years, and when you were growing up probably sat in your parents' bathrooms as well, sat in their parents' bathrooms. So scale weight has been around for a very long time, but it's quite often not broken down or described as anything else other than just this number. So how I always kind of like to define scale weight is it literally just being your relationship with gravity at any given moment. Okay, so with that, there are a number of factors that determine scale weight. Now, I think for most people listening, right, who are on a weight loss journey, if we were to be more specific with it, it's fat loss that you're trying to lose. Okay, and fat loss is a little bit harder to do because it requires a little bit more patience. It requires a little bit more adherence to the structure and the plan that you have, whilst weight loss is a bit more of a generalized approach. In my opinions, scale weight or weight loss is easier than fat loss because there's a multitude of different things that go into weight loss, whereas fat loss is a lot more specific, requires a lot more patience, a lot more adherence, which, hearing me say, might sound a bit disheartening, but again, like I said, as we kind of start to break things down and go into more of the topics that define scale weight, I'm hoping that you will start to come around and lessen that intensity that you put on scale weight. Okay, so what factors determine scale weight? Well, food volume, for one. How much food you eat in a day, in a meal, is going to emphasize that number on your scale. Food types, whether or not you've had more carbohydrates. By having more carbohydrates, the process of breaking down carbohydrates and storing them in the body requires water, which is inevitably going to have an impact on that number on the scale. Sleep is going to have a massive emphasis on scale weight as well. Stress, if you are a functioning human being, which you most likely will be listening to this, you're going to have encountered stress to a severe degree, to a lesser degree, to somewhere in between. Whether you've been to the toilet is going to affect scale weight. Water consumption, activity levels, inflammation of the muscles. If you're someone who lifts weights, more specifically, it's going to have a lot of inflammation around the muscles. Inflammation of organs. Illness is going to have a massive effect on things as well. So there's a multitude of different reasons that affect scale weight specifically. And a lot of those things you have absolutely zero control over. I haven't even thrown in hormones in there either, or being a female, your menstrual cycle is going to massively affect your scale weight. And again, like I said, with the list of things that we've ran through, combined with the fact that if you're female, you are in zero control almost over what your scale weight tells you at any given moment. So, like I said, you have no control over what scale weight is telling you. That it's almost actually impossible to justify why it says what it says at any given point. As someone who's been working in the industry for 9 years, but as someone who has been training for a little bit longer, whenever I've jumped on the scale, I've had sometimes no rhyme or reason for why it has told me what it is that I've told me. Yes, being a coach who coaches fat loss, can look at the numbers and have somewhat of an educated guess as to why it says what it says. But if I've been on track with my food, been on track with my sessions, been on track with my steps, sleep's been really good, etc., and I jump on the scales and it's a little bit disheartening, for no rhyme or reason I can know why it says what it says as a result of all of the things that we have listed off so far, which is obviously inevitably going to make you feel very, very frustrated as well. And again, if you're listening to this, it's because you have either been on a weight loss journey, are on a weight loss journey, or know someone who is on a weight loss journey. It is going to be a large bulk of you. You're going to have felt very, very frustrated, very disheartened, very defeated. You felt like giving up. And that's really not a really nurturing place to be if weight loss, fat loss, long-term is your goal. So there are things then that, based on that, scale weight isn't accurately telling us. Okay? And like I said, if you're listening to this, you've either been on a weight loss journey, are on a weight loss journey, know someone on a weight loss journey, it's not weight loss specifically that you're looking for, it's fat loss. Now, how do we look at fat loss or measure fat loss more accurately? And that is by tracking body composition. Now, what do I mean by body composition? Essentially, body composition means what your body is made up of with regards to your muscle mass, body fat, water weight, organ weight, but more specifically, because we're talking about fat loss and muscle mass specifically, okay? So what variables then, outside of scale weight, could we start to focus on that would give us more of an indicator that fat loss is what we're aiming to achieve? Because like I said, if you're on a weight loss journey, have been on a weight loss journey, or know someone who's on a weight loss journey, more specifically, it's probably fat loss that you're actually trying to lose, and not scale weight specifically, because there are so many variables, like we've listed, that plays into why scale weight can be the way that it is at any given moment, okay? So what variables could we track that would suggest we're making some changes to our body composition? Clothes, for one. If those clothes that you're wearing to work, more specifically, are starting to feel a little bit looser, there's a good chance that body fat is what you are losing. Body measurements. If you take a tape measure to your body, measure your waist, your bicep, your hip, your thigh, your chest, the body measurements are going down, but scale weight isn't shifting all that much, that's a good indicator that you're losing body fat. Another one as well, which is something that I would strongly recommend everyone do, is exercise, but more specifically weight training. And if you are progressing your weight training, using a logbook, getting stronger over time, is a good indicator that you might be adding on muscle mass and losing body fat. So if we're adding muscle mass and losing body fat, how that would look from a scale weight perspective, which we know is just a number, we might not see an awful lot of change there. But from a body compositional perspective, we adding muscle mass, losing body fat, we'll be able to measure that through body measurements and how our clothes are fitting. Another one as well is pictures, which no one ever feels confident taking to start with. I get it. I completely understand, because you are at the start of your weight loss journey, you're not in the most confident position to be able to take, or want to take pictures rather. But I have never had a client who, once they've achieved the result, has ever regretted taking pictures to start with. So if that is you and you're listening to this and you are nervous about taking pictures, that's completely understandable, because like I said, you're going to be in a position where you aren't feeling massively confident in how you feel. But like I said, once you have started to get more of the result that you wanted from a fat loss perspective, again, I've never had a client who's ever regretted taking pictures to start with once they've got the result that they want. So I would strongly recommend doing that as well, because pictures are going to help us measure that body compositional change, but more specifically that fat loss change that you're trying to work towards. And the fifth one, right, which might sound a little bit surprising, because obviously what I'm trying to give you is alternatives to scale weight, but consistent downward trends in scale weight, not a single number. What I mean by that is that there'll be a lot of you who are listening to this, watching this, who track scale weight maybe once a week. And if that is what you are doing, essentially what you're doing in between is leaving out a massive amount of data. Now, how often you check scale weight will depend on a multitude of different factors. It will depend on your relationship with scale weight, which I know a lot of you listening might not have the best relationship with, and would be completely understandable as to why you wouldn't want to check scale weight every day. However, the recommendation that you do check scale weight most days is because there are a lot of trends and a lot of data in between those days that you might be checking your scale weight. Like I said, if you check your scale weight on a Monday and don't check it again until the following Monday, scale weight can change that often, again, depending on those variables that we've talked about already, that there are a lot of measurements that you can miss in between that would be a small indicator that body composition, specifically body fat, is what you are losing. So like I said, consistent downward trends in scale weight, not a single number, over time. Combined with, and my favourite, non-body compositional changes, like increased energy levels, more productive on a daily basis, happier, which in turn affects everyone around you, improved confidence in your ability and in your body. 4 things that I believe are massively more beneficial to you than any number you are ever going to see on a scale weight. And not just to you, but to your friends and family, to the people in the work, to people you spend time with. You being a happier, more productive, more motivated, more energetic version of yourself is more valuable to you and to them than any number you are going to see on the scale, which is what we get through body compositional changes, in increases in muscle mass, in drops in body fat, in seeing our clothes fit a lot more comfortably than they ever did before, in seeing the logbook progress in the gym if weight training is something that you're focusing on, because we're getting stronger. If we're seeing body measurements change, if we're seeing inches and centimeters drop around our waist, around our hips, around our chest, our thighs, and things like that. These things are going to be not only painting a more accurate picture as to what's happening with regards to your fat loss journey, but more valuable to you in the confidence that in your body that you are truly wanting to have from the journey that you're on. So these things sound amazing. They absolutely sound amazing. And with that being said, it makes you wonder why we place so much value on scale weight specifically. And if you're hearing all those things that I spoke about for the first time, like I said, I'm hoping now that what it's starting to give you is a little bit more clarity as to why scale weight really isn't all that. It's not, and it really isn't all that, because again, for the most part, the people that I work with are people who want to lose body fat, but more specifically want to feel a lot more confident, feel empowered, a lot more fulfilled within their own lives, start fitting back into clothes that they haven't fit into for a long time, start to feel more productive, energetic, happier versions of themselves, which then improves their relationships, their friendships, and everything else around them. It makes you wonder why we place so much value on scale weight in the first place. And to be honest, it's, in my opinion, it's because we've been conditioned to give a fuck about it for years, for decades even. And there is this emphasis on scale weight that I'm hoping by now that we are starting to, with more conversations like this one, we're starting to move away from. But like I said, we have placed some level of emphasis on it, because if we are tracking it in the way that I've recommended to track it, in that if we're tracking it daily and we're tracking it consistently over time and over quite a longer period of time, because we know that fat loss is something that requires a little bit more patience and a little bit more adherence to, that scale weight is becoming, or the emphasis on scale weight, should I say, is becoming a little bit more of a thing of the past. So my key takeaway would be, while scale weight isn't the most important thing to your result, or it isn't as important as what you've been made to feel it is, I'm hoping that the alternatives that we've given you have started to shift that slightly. Scale weight will never measure what is more valuable to you, in that you are going to feel happier, healthier, more productive, more motivated, in seeing things like your clothes fit a little bit better, your measurements drop, progression in the logbook, progression in strength, which scale weight on its own doesn't measure really. And if it's a lifestyle change that you're looking for, which I think for the most part people do go into wanting, it's not just, scale weight isn't just a seasonal thing. It's something that once they achieve, they want to learn how to sustain long term and make it that lifestyle change. Then you're going to be wanting to look at things outside of scale weight. Things like feeling more productive, feeling like you're more motivated, feeling like you're happier, feeling like your relationships and your friendships are improving, feeling like your clothes are fitting better, your body measurements are dropping, feeling like you're more in control of your fitness and your health outside of scale weight, and that it's more than just what this number on a little machine is telling you. And like I said, if it's that lifestyle change that you want, then these variables are going to be variables that you're going to want to start to focus a lot more on. So I'm hoping with what I have said here, it at the very least starts to give you, if not a lesser intensity or a lesser focus on scale weight, at the very least a slightly different perspective and even a slightly different focus as to how you go about achieving the result that is that you want to achieve, which I believe for the most part isn't just weight loss, but fat loss specifically. So again, if there's absolutely anything you guys want to ask me, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to discuss anything that I have said on this podcast with you in a little bit more depth. And again, my aim for this podcast was to give you guys a little bit more clarity and a little bit more freedom, and hopefully put a little less pressure on yourselves. Because from what I have seen from people who embark on weight loss, fat loss journeys specifically, is that they don't measure other variables that I believe are far more valuable to them long term. While scale weight, we know, does play its part, as explained, it doesn't play as big a part as I believe people think. So again, if there's anything that I've said you want to discuss in a little bit more detail, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you enjoyed this, and like I said, if at the very least, I hope it's giving you a slightly different perspective on scale weight and giving you a lot more clarity on what else you can focus on that determines more of the result that I believe people want.